Hello, welcome back to another fun episode of Thrive Live. Today, we're going to go do a deeper dive again and go into some more therapeutics for stage 1 adrenal fatigue and touch on the power of cortisol modulating herbs. I see so many women who are juggling a hectic life, battling with stress, yearning for that elusive balance and harmony. I get it. You feel tired, you feel out of tune with your body, you're trying to reclaim your vibrancy. Herbal adaptogens can be really helpful for helping your nervous system. And let's be honest, we all have some degree of dysfunctional nervous system regulate and helps you harmonize with your hormones and adrenal system. So, to recap, stage 1 adrenal fatigue is the stage of overstimulation, creating insomnia, high blood pressure, palpitations, feeling agitated, irregular bowel movements, PMS. It's that hyperdrive state. So, in addition to the nervines that we touched base on last week, herbs that modulate or balance the cortisol axis are helpful for building that tone and building that energy. These herbs are modulating because they can bring a high cortisol down and a low cortisol up. So, oftentimes you will find these herbs used in both AM and PM formulas, depending on the type of herb and what they're doing. So allow me to introduce you to 4 of my favorite adaptogenic herbs that are cortisol modulating. So first off, rhodiola, we can think of this as the energy booster. I think it keynoted as it's the herb for that stress-related exhaustion. So we tend to dose it higher in the morning, lower at noon, and usually none at night, but you will still see it in some PM formulas. But I've also had it keep some patients up if they take it at night. So it has an adaptogenic effect. And so we've seen in some studies that it can show protection from stressors such as cold and radiation. It can increase the work capacity of the body, decrease fatigue, improve your learning and memory. So it's really great at that stamina piece. It also is great in the cardiovascular arena, where the rhodiola extracts demonstrate antiarrhythmic properties on the heart and protect against reperfusion injury and ischemia. So when there's basically been a blockage in the blood, stroke, it can help with the reperfusion to the organs of the blood. And these effects are accomplished by abolished, not accomplished, abolished by naloxone infusions. So that kind of suggests that the mechanism involved here might be because of an opioid connection. There's an antibacterial effect to rhodiola. Extracts specifically inhibit Staphylococcus aureus, and when administered to pneumonia patients in combination with standard antibiotic therapy, rhodiola can reduce the duration of the acute phase of pneumonia by about 2 days, and when compared to patients who were treated with antibiotic therapy alone. And of course, there's an antidepressant. We've seen that rhodiola can improve moods, and we can see this by it affects and regulates the activity of serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine. And there's also other great neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, liver protective, hypolipidemic effects. I could keep going on forever and ever, but out of sake of time, I'm going to go on to the next herb. Eleuthero, we also know this is Siberian ginseng. You can think of this as your hormone harmony. This is your calming adrenal adaptogen. It's less stimulating than your Panax or your American ginseng. Eleuthero is a small woody shrub native to Southeast Russia, Northern China, Korea, and Japan. Eleuthero is first used in Siberia to increase performance and quality of life and is now sometimes used as our adaptogen. So we use mostly the bark on the roots. It has this bitter, warming quality to it. And Eleuthero specifically, we see it can actually be helpful with decreasing the adrenal hypertrophy, so that enlarged adrenal state. And it can help with that when you're on steroids for a while, having that adrenal suppression. So it can help ameliorate that. And it also helps to delay the alarm stress reaction of fight and flight. So it helps you not be as reactive under that stressor. Now, we know that it also helps to regulate blood sugar. It has a blood sugar lowering effect, and it can also improve memory. So we've seen that Eleuthero protects neurons and can inhibit brain cell apoptosis, so the death of the brain cells. And it also has an anti-inflammatory microglial activation in brain tissue that has been challenged with low blood flow. So it also has, so it has this cell protection effect where it helps it inactivate also as well as free radicals. And of course, a lot of the adaptogens you're going to see cover the cardiovascular arena, where what we've seen is adults with heart disease. There are some studies showing that there's improved ventricular function with Eleuthero, and it can help prevent that stress-induced heart tissue damage by increasing cardiac tolerance. So let's go on to my third herb, ashwagandha. We also know this is withania. Can think of as like the sleep elixir. I think ashwagandha really has many uses. It can calm down the high cortisol levels to improve sleep and lower that anxiety, but it also increases GABA production in the brain and improves that thyroid conversion, helping your thyroid convert from T4 to T3. We use the root, so just also know this plant is a nightshade. So if you're allergic to nightshade foods, there's a chance you're going to be allergic to ashwagandha, but it is also high in iron. So this herb you can really think as when you're tired and wired. So those who are exhausted while under great stress. So we can see it is a mild sedative. So you'll see it in many sleep formulas, but to be honest, I also use it in morning formulas as well. We'll have a lowering blood pressure effect to the herb. It has also an anti-inflammatory effect. So it decreases the alpha-2 microglobuli. So it's basically a protein that's created at the liver that increases during inflammation. We can also think of it as adaptogenic, so meaning it helps to suppress the stress-induced increase of dopamine receptors in the brain when we're stressed. So it has this palliating effect on how our body has that initial response to stress. We also see it reduce plasma corticosterone, your stress hormone. And so it can be a very nice calming adrenal adaptogen. Now, in the brain, why we can also see some antidepressant activities is because it binds to and stimulates the GABA A receptors. So it's similar to valerian and St. John's work. So kind of like what we talked about last week. And it can also help to regulate your blood sugar. So we've actually seen it reduce circulating blood glucose and the hemoglobin A1C, which is how much glucose your red blood cells are carrying on them. Now, holy basil, we'll finish off with this herb, which is one of my favorite herbs. It's your stress buster. And holy basil is an aromatic perennial shrub. It's native to India and it's also found in Australia, West Africa, and some Middle Eastern countries. It's used in Ayurvedic medicine and is actually considered a sacred plant in Hinduism. I think of holy basil as a calming adaptogen. It's really great for patients as well who are sensitive to other adaptogens. And we've seen that holy basil it helps to mitigate that sensitivity to like noise-induced stress. It helps with affecting your blood levels of that stress hormone, corticosteroid. It also helps to attenuate the neurotransmitter levels that are happening in your brain to the stress. We also see an anti-inflammatory component to holy basil is actually affecting, it has some constituents in it that will help to lower platelet aggregation. So you're not going to be, your platelets aren't as sticky floating around in your blood. And in the greater scheme of our endocrine system, we see holy basil working well with blood sugar control, your thyroid function, your sex hormone, your androgen production. And to be honest, a lot of these adrenal adaptogens, because the adrenals are the cheerleaders to the hormone system, that you're going to see as you improve and support your adrenals, that your thyroid, your sex hormone, your stress response, your circadian cycle, your sleep can all start to fall into line nicely. So at the end of the day, if you are dabbling around with these herbs, always get a professional opinion to make sure that you're safe, because there are contraindications with these herbs. But these herbs can be a secret weapon to helping you get back to feeling great and to feeling like you again. So I hope that was useful. We will see you all next week and have a great weekend.